Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, February 27th, 2012 meeting of the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners. We have a quorum present, and Commissioner Schulte will lead us in the flag salute. You all rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May have been the first time in recent history where I heard everyone say it correctly at the same time in a room full of people. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of February 13.
I second that.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes of February 13th, 2012. Corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. We have no one signed up for comments. Are there any citizens that would like to make comment this morning? Hearing none.
No,
Bob raised his hand.
Bob, come on up, Bob. I'm sorry.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Bob Gunther. I've served on the Planning Commission here for a number of years, and I see that you're going to honor our friend Bill Russell, and I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate it, and I know the rest of the Planning Commission does.
Yeah, I'd like you to make that comment after Bill gets here. He will be here shortly. So, and we're gonna make that recognition after he comes. So we're gonna delay that a little bit until Bill does get here. So we will proceed with the employee. All right, I took my stuff. We'll proceed with the employee recognition first, although it's second on our agenda. We have two awards to present today, one for the employee above and beyond for the fourth quarter and one for the employee above and beyond for the year. The Personal Advocacy Committee is responsible for selecting special recognition for employees during the year. And we do it quarterly for the employee who is above and beyond, and then we also have an employee who serves within their duties, does an extraordinary job of that. We had no employees nominated in the fourth quarter for the second category, but we do have a nominations for above and beyond. And this goes to an individual who is tasked to undertake a situation that had not been experienced in Lewis County for over 50 years. The coroner's inquest into the Ronald Reynolds case required a degree of responsibility for coordinating and scheduling witnesses, tracking subpoenas, and compiling exhibits that is rarely employed by the coroner's office. Prior to and during the inquest proceedings, Dawn Harris held the role of inquest clerk, which was far above and beyond her normal duties. In the words of Coroner Warren McLeod, the duties Dawn assumed for the inquest were well above and beyond her normal duties and were an integral part of the inquest proceeding so smoothly. Dawn Harris from the coroner's office is above and beyond for the fourth quarter 2011. Would you come up, please?
Bill.
Above and beyond employee for the year is selected from each quarterly award winner or nominee. And all these people were nominees for quarterly awards for the first quarter. And I'd like you to stand if you're here to be recognized and remain standing until all names are called, and then we'll acknowledge those. For the first quarter, we have Sherry Gunther from the Sheriff's Office. Fred Terry from Public Works. For the second quarter, we have Smokey Paget from Code Compliance. Third quarter, we have Bill Teitzel from Code Compliance. Kathy McKenzie from the mailroom. And Jason Marmon from the Sheriff's Office. And for the fourth quarter, our latest and newest, Don Harris from the Coroner's Office. Thank you all for your service to Lewis County, and we appreciate all that you do and all that you do in going the extra mile for the county and for the people in the county. Thank you. You may be seated. Out of these individuals, the PAC has selected one who clearly stood out in the work that was done far outside his normal job description. Most of you have felt the pain of the current and ongoing budget crisis as you've taken on additional tasks. One of the most challenging and troublesome issues with which we as commissioners must contend is the enforcement of county codes, especially in light of the budget restraints. Code Compliance Officer Smokey Paget clearly went the extra mile when he went out of his way to show his compassion and care for an elderly couple who were having code compliance issues. While their living conditions were in many ways deplorable, Smokey helped them find the resources available so they, through the Area Agency on Aging, Meals on Wheels, assisted home care was provided, the septic system, the main cause of the code compliance issue, was repaired, and a new porch with handicapped accessibility was built under his guidance. Smokey Paget, you've clearly gone beyond and above your normal work responsibilities, and you are a selection for the 2011 Above and Beyond Awards. Smokey, come on up. I haven't seen Bill sneak in yet, so we're going to proceed. We've got a full agenda this morning, so we're going to move forward with the agenda, and when Bill gets here, we'll interrupt it and take care of the business at hand.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the notice agenda, 2 items, resolution number 12060 and 12061.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the notice agenda. Are there any?
Wait a minute, we're just getting to the good part.
Actually, since the threat didn't arrive, we're allowing the peace officers to depart. Except for Ross, who's sticking with us. Oh, bye-bye.
Wait a minute, it's just starting to get exciting, you guys.
You'll really know that after Tim gets up to the podium.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the notice agenda. Will clerk please read those items into the minutes?
Item 1, call for bids for the purchase of 1 flusher tank. Bids are due to the clerk of the board by 9 a.m. on March 13, 2012. This is resolution number 12-060. Item 2, call for bids for the material purchase for the Kuntz Road widening project. Bids are due to the clerk of the board by 11 a.m. on March 20, 2012. This is resolution number 12-061.
I frequently have that kind of effect on a room. To item number 1 on your notice agenda, Call for seal bids for the purchase of flusher tanks. One carbon steel flusher tank truck 7-17 has reached its useful life and was scheduled, budgeted, and approved for replacement in 2012. Flusher tank specifications in the call for bid will require the tank to be plumbed in such a manner as to accommodate de-icing apparatus in the future if the need arises. Bids are due by 9 a.m. on March 13, 2012 to the clerk of the Board of Lewis County Commissioners and will be publicly opened at 9:30 a.m. on March 13, 2012 at the Commissioners' Meeting Room. The advertising for the call for bids will be done by Lewis County pursuant to Washington State and county codes. So we're asking that you approve a call for bids for one truck-mounted flusher tank and authorize the clerk of the Board of Lewis County Commissioners to advertise the call for bids in the East County Journal and the Daily Journal of Commerce in Seattle and Portland. And you will notice later we are asking to purchase a water truck chassis, which this tank will sit upon. The old truck was a carbon steel. As you notice, the new will be stainless steel, which will accommodate the de-icing material.
I noticed that when we put out the notice that we said these would be opened by the Board of County Commissioners, and they're actually going to be opened by your office.
That's correct.
We did get the item corrected in the notice, so it says Board of County Commissioner or designee. But what we've done is we used to open all of the bids at this meeting, but we've changed that procedure so that most of the public works bids are opened separately, and this bid is actually going to be open on Tuesday rather than at the Monday meeting.
Speaking to item number 2, call for bids for a 3-sided culvert for the Kuntz Road widening project. Bids are due to the clerk of the board by 11 a.m. on March 20th, 2012. This is resolution number 12-061. This contract will allow Lewis County to make a material purchase for Kuntz Road widening project. Public Works staff members are completing final permitting and certifications needed to advertise the construction project, tentatively planned for June 2012 bid call. However, if the precast reinforced concrete 3-sided structure, or the culvert, required for this project is not ordered until after the contract award, fabrication and concrete cure times needed for the culvert may push construction outside the narrow in-water work window associated with this project. To accommodate the 2012 construction and anticipated manufacturing and cure times for this material, Public Works proposes a separate material purchase bid call to ensure the culvert is ready and available for installation during the 2012 in-water work window. This project is listed as number 9 on Lewis County's 2012 6-year transportation improvement program. Kuntz Road widening is grant funded, $748,000 from CRAB RAP program, $1 million from FHWA STP program, and $552,000 from Lewis County. And Lewis County has received written authorization from WashDOT local programs to advertise this materials purchase.
Those figures that you had, are those only for the culvert, or are those figures for the entire project?
They're for the entire project.
That's what I thought. And I just want to reiterate that all we're doing in this call is going out for the purchase of the culvert itself. The project will go out on later this year, but because of the fact that it takes time for the cement on the culvert to cure, we need to get this purchase underway so that it's ready when we do the project, because DOE keeps on tightening up the window in which we can go into the water because of fish issues.
That's correct. Thank you.
Any further comments on the notice agenda? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of the notice agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I will defer on consent because our guest of honor has arrived.
Let's forego, is Bill, you're here. Great. We'll proceed with recognition of Mr. Bill Russell and a couple of comments on Bill, and that may or may not be known widely. I'm not even sure how long you've served, Bill, but the Planning Commission job is one of those mini committees which this board appoints members, volunteers to. At one time, our Planning Commission was accused of being a bunch of high-paid individuals who we're taking the money and controlling our lands and things, and nothing could be farther from the truth. They're unpaid. It's a voluntary position where they end up taking a lot of flack from the general public. It's largely undeserved. I recall a meeting in Toledo last year that was very heated, in which they took a lot of heat, and we just want to appreciate the fact that Bill has been willing to serve and has done so, I might add, through some very trying family times with some auto accidents and things. So I want to turn it over to Bob and others who would like to make comments on Bill's activities.
Thank you. For the record, Bob Johnson, Director of Community Development. I've been involved with the Planning Commission since the very day I began here at Lewis County back in 1999 as a planner. And the Planning Commission is one of those commissions that counties rely on heavily for public involvement. And under the Growth Management Act, they're in fact required, a public participation process is required, and the Planning Commission provides invaluable feedback to the Board of County Commissioners, especially when they're going through things like zoning under the Growth Management Act or shoreline master programs that have to be adopted per state statute. The Planning Commission was reconstituted in 2005. Bill Russell was one of those members that was originally appointed to the reconstituted Planning Commission. He has served in an exemplary fashion for all those years. He served not only as a Planning Commission member, but as the chair of the Planning Commission for at least once that I know of. Twice? And I want to tell you that of all the planning commissions that I've been involved with, there are always those pack mule types that carry the work for the Planning Commission. There are those members that read the material, study the issues, go out and research it, talk to the folks, and Bill is one of those pack mule kinds of Planning Commission members, and he has served faithfully all these years. And as Commissioner Gross alluded to, he and his wife Yvonne were involved in a couple of serious accidents, one of them nearly fatal, and despite that, Bill came back and served faithfully on the Planning Commission, and I personally have enjoyed working with him, and I've enjoyed his wife's cakes that she brought here on numerous occasions. And I want to personally thank him, and I know the board does too, and there are a few people here that have come that would like to say a few words about Bill, and I'm going to give them the opportunity to do that. But again, I just want to thank Bill and Yvonne for that. Bill lives in the Sispus area, and during the tumultuous times when we were trying to come into compliance with the Growth Management Act, he spent a lot of time not only in the Planning Commission meetings, but traveling, because that's a long way to get here, and it's a huge commitment. I just want to thank Bill personally for that. And whomever else would like to come up and say a few words, I would offer the mic here.
Jim Lowry, Centralia, Washington. I was first appointed to the Planning Commission, I think back in 2005, just after it was reconstructed. And one of the first people I met was Bill. And Bill very graciously took me under his wing to teach this newbie a little bit about planning. I was always amazed with the knowledge he had. And then I found out just a few months ago, actually, that he's got a whole room full of files from all the meetings we've had at the Planning Commission. And if you want historical information, Bill has it. And then I went off the Planning Commission, and that was during the time we were doing the ag land stuff. And it's Bill's leadership and his steadiness at keeping track of what the detail and what needed to be done that really got us through that. And it was hard. I mean, we were meeting, once or twice a week there for a while. But I always admired Bill. I really enjoyed working with him. I'm currently still on the Planning Commission, and I need to tell you the only reason I think he went off was because our salary is zero, right?
Nope.
You guys tripled it last year, right. And I think that intimidated Bill, so he left. But thank you. I appreciate what Bill's given to the county, and I know how hard it is to do these kind of jobs, so thanks, Bill.
Bob Gunther again. Hey, I thank you for letting me speak first too, because I'm glad all the rest of the folks that left heard a little bit about Bill, and I thought it was kind of pretentious to begin with, but really I'm glad that all you folks are here, because Bill Russell was our foundation to begin with. In 2005, when we came on board, he's the man that had all the records and had the experience to get us out of invalidity, you know, to recommend to you folks to take the growth management program forward. So, Bill, we're going to miss you, and you did a great job for us. Thank you.
Commissioners, I'm Mike McCormick. I'm a planning consultant from Olympia, and I've had the privilege and pleasure of working with Lewis County. I think I started in 1999 or 2000. I have had a lot of experience working in this county, and I've worked in a lot of other counties, and I am hard-pressed to think of a single individual other than Bill Russell who has contributed so much to continuing effort in a county where coming into compliance with the Growth Management Act is both a political and fiscal challenge. I don't think anyone has mentioned the fact that Bill attended every one of those meetings starting in 2000 when we were dealing with the rural. Long before he came on the Planning Commission. I think he had the best attendance of anyone in the county. They made the drive. Yvonne always came with him, and she usually brought something to eat, which I think helped the blood sugar level of the Planning Commission and the rest of us. Really quite remarkable.
I know that it attracted me to come.
Yes, yes. And Bill's patience, his diligence, his intelligence, his willing to listen and then think about it and talk to people about it. And people have already commented on the fact that he read every shred of paper that was produced, and now I find out there's a copy of it. I thought I was the only one that kept those things. It's really quite remarkable. He has been a gem for the county. I hope and wish more people understood that. But it's not just Bill, it's also Yvonne, because she really helped make that possible. I'm sure if I were faced with having to do that drive once or twice or 3 times a week alone, I would have been reluctant to get in the car and do it. And I suspect Yvonne stimulated Bill in his civic interest and civic pride. But he's quite remarkable. It's been a pleasure working with him, and I know that I will miss his presence and participation. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Mike. Closing comments on the subject.
I have some comments.
Yeah, Bill, why don't you go ahead, Commissioner, I'll finish it up. Go ahead.
As many of you know, I first got my feet wet in county government with the Planning Commission back in '93 when we first started planning for growth management, and we had quite a go of it. I really appreciate the sacrifice that is made by the members of the Planning Commission. It's already noted that there is no pay, although we consistently tripled their salary every year. I know, and Bill might have been at a meeting that we had when we were doing forest resource lands, and there was a lady that was really upset because we were putting a 200-foot buffer on our land to prevent trees from falling on our house. And she came and testified, and the Planning Commission tried to explain to her the reason for the buffer. And she cried out that you people just don't care. You get in these high salaries, and you're doing this for your own good, and you won't listen to us poor people out here. And the chairman of the board at that time said, I think you're mistaken. We are volunteer members on this Planning Commission. We get paid nothing. And she says, nothing? You're damn fools. I want to assure you that you aren't damn fools. We appreciate very much what has been done by all of the members of the Planning Commission. And Bill, I've had the pleasure of working with you all of these years, and I know that among the members of the Planning Commission, you're always the best prepared. I also know that Yvonne helps in that area, because I've had the opportunity to sit out in the benches while the Planning Commission is operating with Yvonne and talk about various issues that are coming up before the Planning Commission. So Bill gets advice from Yvonne, I assure you, on where we are going with all of the issues that we have. During the days of the invalidity on the agricultural resource lands and our attempts to get back into validity, we had the Planning Commission meeting virtually every week for almost 2 years. Thankfully, that schedule's less onerous now, but we still have a lot of work for the Planning Commission to do. And it is one of the commissions that we as county commissioners appoint that is very valuable to us. It is a long, arduous process to do land planning, and we've got outstanding people on that planning commission making very, very good advice to us. And Bill, you've been among the best. Thank you very much for your service.
Driving through Randall virtually every morning, I'm one who fully appreciates the fact that Bill's come out here on so many Tuesday nights and gone home late many of those Tuesday nights. It's not fun driving it in the daytime. It's less fun driving it at night. It's kind of amazing, really, that his record is so secure on that board as far as attendance is concerned when so many others live so much closer. And that's to be commended, and it shows the dedication and stick-to-itness that required of the job, along with the fact, as has been mentioned, that he's virtually reads everything. He and I had a little bit of a controversy regarding the words shall and will, could and should. And we still haven't resolved that. So his successor will have to deal with me on that too, I'm sure. But anyway, Bill, we really do appreciate it, and I would like both you and Yvonne to come forward at this time. I'd like to read this service award. It says, we hereby express our sincere appreciation to Bill Russell for your years of loyalty, diligence, and dedicated service to the Lewis County Planning Commission. Thank you. And it's signed by the 3 members of the board. And in addition to that, there is a token of our appreciation in the form of a gift certificate, a gift card attached to this, and you can share that with people if you wish, as you wish. Thank you very much.
You want to make any comments?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind. Well, first, I'm going to thank my wife. Some facts that are a little interesting. I started with the Planning Commission the same year Mike McCormick did. Ron Averill was the chairman of the Citizens Advisory Committee traveling all over the county, and Bob Johnson was presenting. So I've been there for a while. I've met a lot of great people. I've enjoyed working with them. I've been fortunate enough to have one of my neighbors recently appointed to the Planning Commission. I think he will do an excellent job for the county. So, gentlemen, thank you much. I've learned a lot. I've enjoyed working with all of you. I'm going to miss the county. Thank you.
if you miss it too much, I'm sure we can find another committee to serve on. One less onerous than that one. Okay, I will entertain a motion for.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve the consent agenda, items 3 through 14, Resolution 12062 through 12073.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Will the clerk please read those items into the minutes?
Item 3, resolution number 12-062, approval of warrants for payment. Item 4, resolution number 12-063, appointing members to the Distressed Counties Fund Rural Economic Development Public Facilities Advisory Committee. Item 5, resolution number 12-064, inventory of capital assets. Item 6, resolution number 12-065, acceptance of an agreement for use of jail facility with the City of Olympia. Item 7, resolution number 12-066, contract with the Lewis County Coroner and Cattermole Funeral Home. Item 8, resolution number 12-067, approving contract amendment number 1 between Washington State Department of Social and Health Services, Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery, and Lewis County. Item 9, resolution number 12-068, approving Tim Elsey as FEMA applicant agent and Marilee Kenya as alternate agent contact for declared natural disasters of 2006, 2007, 2009, and 2011, as well as for any possible declarations that may occur in 2012. Item 10, resolution number 12-069, proposed sale of surplus property on Highway 603 near Winlock. Item 11, resolution number 12-070, authorizing the purchase of 5 2012 police patrol cars. Item 12, resolution number 12-071, authorizing the purchase of 1 2012 water truck chassis. Item 13, resolution number 12-072, proposed sale of surplus property to National Frozen Foods Corporation. Item 14, resolution number 12-073, approving an administrative agreement with National Frozen Foods Corporation for acquisition of additional right-of-way for Airport Road.
Item 3, Resolution 12062, approves 5 special purpose warrants for the Vader Water System for $1,607.22, and 267 warrants issued by the Auditor's Office for $959,922.16, totaling $961,529.38. This also approves 262 warrants for net withdrawal on payroll, totaling $234,219. Item 4, Resolution 12063, approves the appointment of members to the Distressed Counties Fund Rural Development Public Facilities Advisory Committee for 2012. Lewis County qualifies as a distressed county, and procedures were established to appoint an advisory committee on an annual basis. This resolution approves the following appointments and cities cities and organizations that are represented: Ron Averill for Lewis County, Mayor Jerry Pratt for the City of Toledo, Mayor Bonnie Kennedy from the City of Centralia, Mark Anders, a Port Commissioner for the Port of Chehalis, and Beth Thames. Beth is from Packwood, Lee?
She's from Morton, actually.
From Morton to the East Lewis County PDA. Say we change this over every year. The procedure that we've been using for several years now is because we have both the ports and the cities of Centralia and Chehalis involved with the distress fund, we make sure that at least one of the cities that represented each other and the port from the other city is that way. So this year it's going to be Centralia City and Chehalis Port. Next year it'll be Chehalis City and Centralia Port.
And
Good, we got someone to do capitalized It's not capital assets, it's capitalized
It
assets.
can be either one. All right, Amanda
Auditors, they can make
Migliaccio.
up their own rules, you know that.
Oh, that's true.
Amanda Migliaccio, financial analyst in the auditor's office, speaking on item number 5, resolution 12-064, inventory of capitalized assets. This resolution is to fulfill the requirements set forth by RCW 36.32.210, which requires that the Board of County Commissioners file with the auditor a statement verified by oath showing a full and complete inventory of all capitalized assets of the county for the 12-month period ending December 31st of the preceding year. The preparation of this inventory is based on the verifications performed by the county departments, which have custodial responsibility of the assets. In addition, during November and December of 2011, the auditor's office did perform a random check of some of those assets.
How did we do?
Pretty good. Only 3 locations were different. All of the assets were located.
Okay, and that's good. I must admit that the first time, we have to do this annually, and the first time that we did that, I was somewhat intimidated because it's kind of threatening when the RCW says that the county commissioners will verify by oath showing that this was done. That's pretty intimidating when you understand that you could be taken to court, and if this were wrong, you could actually be charged with perjury. And so I took a real interest in what we're doing. I will tell you that there's a lot of property in Lewis County, the documents about that thick, but and it's owned not only by the departments that work directly for the county commissioners, but each of the elected offices as well. I appreciate that your office has gone through, and I've got signatures from each office and each department that I can go back to the court and say, well, that person said it was there. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Kevin Hansen, Lewis County Jail Administrator. I'm here today to talk about resolution number 12-065, and it's an agreement between Lewis County and the Olympia City Jail. This agreement is to house prisoners who are otherwise lawfully committed to the custody of Olympia City and incarcerated in Olympia City Jail. This agreement is similar in content and scope to other Lewis County Jail inmate agreements, and this is also a renewal. In return for housing of a guaranteed 22 inmates per day, the City of Olympia will pay a flat fee of $50 per day per bed, or $401,500 per year in annual revenue through December 31st of 2013. This agreement will be reviewed annually, and throughout mutual negotiation, the daily rate for housing prisoners may be adjusted based upon the projected housing costs for the next calendar year.
Okay, Kevin, the resolution says that it's approved through 2013 and it's going to be reviewed annually. Does that mean that next year before the contract starts, we're going to review the fee before January of 2013?
That is correct. In midsummer next year, we'll review the contract.
And is there also a provision that thereafter it's renewed annually, or then we're going to have to make a new contract?
We have to make a new contract.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. Warren McLeod, Lewis County Coroner. I'm going to be speaking on resolution number 12-066, a contract with the Lewis County Coroner and Catamount Funeral Home. The resolution in question regards a public service agreement between the Lewis County Coroner's Office and Catamount Funeral Home. This agreement is for the removal of decedents within Lewis County. The Lewis County Coroner's Office does not provide removal services for decedents, and in the past has always relied on a rotating mortuary system to perform these services. The cost for these removals in the past in the rotating system was $150 per removal, and any calls that were east of Mossy Rock resulted in an additional $25 per hour overtime charge. Under this agreement with Catamount Funeral Home, the removals of decedents will be made for an annual cost of $13,000, irregardless of how many removals are made. With the number of cases handled by Lewis County Coroner's Office increasing every year, this agreement is a way to effectively control an otherwise unpredictable cost for the county.
What is the period of the contract, Warren?
It is from January 1st of this year till December 31st of this year.
So you'll have to renegotiate thereafter?
Yes, we'll review it every, I believe in September of every year to see and negotiate.
Does it have a clause for automatic renewal annually, or?
No, we are going to look at it every year.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tara Smith, Lewis County Public Health and Social Services, speaking to item number 8, resolution number 12-067, approving the contract amendment. It's the first one for this biennium with the Department of Social and Health Services, Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery. This contract amendment addresses changes to language for Medicaid eligible clients. There's been changes in the names of programs. This also addresses language in the contract that addresses reporting requirements, not only by the county, but also by the subcontractors that we use to perform the direct services. So each of those items will be passed on through contract amendments to those providers. The contract amendment began February 1 of 2012 and goes through June 30th of 2013.
This didn't involve any funds. It just involved the wording of the contract responsibilities. I just to give the folks an idea, there's a new definition for what are indigent patients. There are new performance outcome measures for work statements for outpatient services. There's an update of waiting list requirements, assessment requirements, prevention reporting requirements, and it replaces the audit requirement language.
That's correct.
I mentioned that I frequently got that reaction, generally not 2 times in one meeting.
It's the Napavine water.
Speaking to resolution number 12-08, approving Tim Elsey as FEMA applicant agent and Marilyn Kenyon as alternate agent contact for declared natural disasters of 2006, 2007, 2009, and 2011, as well as for any possible declarations that may occur in 2012. The Emergency Management Division of the State of Washington requires Lewis County to designate an applicant agent and alternate agent. Resolution 10-354 appointed Tim Elsey as the applicant agent and Marilyn Kenyon as the alternate applicant agent. There is a need to designate an applicant agent contact for Lewis County and all open federally declared disasters, as well as any disasters that may occur in 2012. This resolution will appoint Public Works Director and County Engineer Tim Elsey to serve as the applicant agent contact, and Marilyn Kenyon, Public Works Office Manager, will remain as the alternate applicant agent contact. This designation will be for the following declared disasters: November 2006 flood disaster number 1671, December 2007 flood disaster number 1734, January 2009 severe winter storm flood disaster number 1817, and the January 2011 severe winter storm flooding number 1963, and any possible future declarations that may occur in 2012. As you're aware, we've received severe damage just last month with the ice storm, and that may be declared, and this would cover that if that gets declared.
I'd point out that the governor's office has actually made an application to the federal government, to the president's office, for a declaration of that particular disaster. It's $32 million in damage statewide and over $1 million in Lewis County alone. So we hope that the president would do that. People also may not be aware, but the reason that we're going all the way back to 2006 with the disasters is that in virtually every one of these, we still have projects that are open from 2006. We just had a hearing a couple of months ago, or maybe just last month, on the Davis Creek Road. bridge that has not yet been repaired from the 2006 disaster out there in the Randall area. And so these go on. At one point, we in the county commission used to declare a disaster, and then after a year or so, we'd close them. But we recognized, starting certainly in 2006, that as long as we've got something that's still open, we have to hold that disaster open. And so we still have not closed out the 2006 disaster.
That's correct. We were able to close the 2010 disaster, but not any of the others. Speaking to the next item, item number 10, resolution number 12-069, in the matter of the proposed sale of surplus property on Highway 603 near Winlock, Washington. Lewis County owns a 2.61 acre tract on Highway 603 between Napavine and Winlock. The property is heavily wooded vacant land. The state of Washington conveyed the northeast quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 16, Township 12 North, Range 2 West of Willamette Meridian to Lewis County in 1929. The property contained about 40 acres, less those portions in railroad and road rights-of-ways. Portions of the property were subsequently sold off, and this is the last remaining parcel. The property has not been used by the county in recent years, and in fact, there is no evidence of any past county use of the property. In the past, abutting property owners have expressed concerns that the trees may endanger their property should they fall. Since there is no present county use for the property, the timber appears to be mature and the trees may be creating a liability for the county, it is likely a good time to consider disposition of the property. The proposed resolution declares the intent of the board to sell the property in conformance with Lewis County Code 3.30 if the property is surplus to county needs, and instructs the Public Works Department to examine the property, determine the minimum bid amount by appraisal, and then report the findings to the board.
I'd point out that this does not put this property up for sale. We're actually asking the county engineer to look at the property and give us a recommendation on, one, should it be put up for sale, and if so, what should we charge for that? And when that report comes back to us, then we'll make a decision on whether to sell it or not.
That's correct. Speaking to item number 11, resolution number 12-070, authorizing the purchase of 5 2012 patrol cars. The Maintenance and Operations Division of Lewis County Sheriff Department and the Lewis County Sheriff Department has determined that 5 patrol vehicles in the fleet are in need of replacement and are scheduled, budgeted, and approved for replacement in the year 2012. Columbia Ford offers Ford all-wheel drive police interceptors through the Washington State contract. Lewis County has cooperative governmental purchasing agreement with Washington State, Resolution 11-410. All 5 interceptors will be placed into ER&R, and the Sheriff Department has agreed to purchase these vehicles from Fund 615. We're requesting that you authorize the Director of Public Works for Lewis County to execute the purchase of 5 2012 Ford all-wheel drive police interceptors in the amount of $156,690.91.
I noticed that we actually signed 2 contracts, one for 4 vehicles and one for 1. I presume one of those vehicles is going to be
Slightly different.
Equipped differently?
Yes, equipped slightly differently. Speaking to item number 12, authorizing the purchase of 1 2012 water truck chassis. This is what we discussed before when we were purchasing the water tank. The Maintenance and Operations Division of the Lewis County Public Works Department has determined that 1 water truck in the fleet is in need of replacement and is scheduled, budgeted, and approved for replacement in the year 2012. Cascadia International offers a truck chassis through the Washington State contract. Lewis County has a cooperative governmental purchasing agreement with Washington State. Lewis County has reached an agreement with Cascadia International for 1 2012 water truck that meets our needs, and the attached resolution will authorize the Director of Public Works for Lewis County to sign a contract between Cascadia International and Lewis County for the purchase of 1 2012 truck chassis in the amount of $134,156.02.
Unfortunately, the Sheriff's Department hasn't been able to note that your chassis is going to cost almost as 5 vehicles. Oh, you're taking that back, are you, Kevin? I see.
Thank you.
I would note also that There's a rather famous exchange between myself and Steve Mansfield about Ford Victorias. We aren't getting Ford Victorias, but it's not because I won. It's because they don't make them anymore. so I'm anxiously looking forward to a picture of this all-wheel drive Ford Police Interceptor.
They're pretty darn nice.
Speaking to item number 13, resolution number 12-072, proposed sale of surplus property to National Frozen Foods Corporation. The county's project to improve Airport Road requires additional right-of-way from several property owners. The county made an offer to one of those owners, National Frozen Foods Corporation, dated August 24, 2011, to acquire right-of-way for this project. The county received a letter responding to its offer from National Frozen Foods dated September 28, 2011, which raised several issues with the county's offer. One issue raised is that the company relies on the property being taken for road right-of-way for disposal of their production wastewater from their vegetable processing plant through irrigation. Due to this loss of land and to ensure continued operation of their plant into the future, National has entered into a purchase and sale agreement to acquire a portion of the nearby airport property from the county and the city. Approximately 41.82 acres of this airport property, as determined by survey, are surplus to the needs of the airport operations and can be sold to National Frozen Foods to offset the acreage loss. To settle negotiations in this eminent domain right-of-way acquisition, the Airport Governing Board has resolved to sell said property to National Frozen Foods under the terms specified in the accompanying purchase sale agreement. National Frozen Foods has signed all right-of-way documents, which are being held in escrow subject to the approval of their purchase of this 41.82 acres. The airport will retain an navigation easement over the property being sold. Passing this resolution will approve the sale and authorize the Airport Governing Board Chairman to sign a quitclaim deed for conveyance of the property. So that goes in a roundabout way of saying that the airport, through the FAA, purchased land at the end of the runway for use into the future. There was about 41, almost 42 acres that they purchased because it was part of the old Blazer tract that were not eligible for funding through the FAA, nor are they needed to be retained as the other property that was purchased with those funds. This parcel will allow National Frozen Foods to continue to dispose of their vegetable washing wastewater and allow them to maintain jobs in Lewis County for many years into the future.
I'd point out that this has not only been an issue for the project on Airport Road, but on the I-5 widening project as well. So it's important to both Lewis County and to DOT as we go forward with those projects. The first of which will be the Mellon Street Bridge project, which will start hopefully early this summer. And sometime down in the future, when we get funding from the legislature, there will be widening of the freeway between Harrison and Rush Road, or 13th Street rather, to complete that whole area to make it 3 lanes in each direction. And National Frozen Foods is aware that when we do that subsequent widening, that the property that they have on the east side of the freeway will probably be taken up for a storm drainage and stuff of this nature. So the identification of property that they have in order to do the disposal of their material from the plant is very important to them. They have been concerned about the fact that part of that land they can only rent from the airport because it was purchased with FAA money, and having been purchased with FAA money, we can't sell that property. We'd have to pay the money back to FAA were we to do that. So there's going to be 41 acres that's going to take up this slack, and we were glad that we were able to do this. The airport board had considered it and approved it. We are approving this resolution. For those of you who may not know, the city of Chehalis and the county are co-owners of the airport, and so this same issue will come before, I believe, the Chehalis City Council tonight. That's correct. And will be approved at that time. National Frozen Food is not being claimed for $1. They're paying $169,664,000 for this 41 acres.
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, the airport manager, Alan Rowe, is in the audience. Does he
Yes,
have any
Alan, would you like
comments?
to address this at all, or you're okay with what we've said? You're good? Okay.
I haven't misrepresented you, have you?
Must not have, or he'd be.
I guess not.
Speaking to item number 14, Resolution 12-073, approving an administrative agreement with National Frozen Foods Corporation for acquisition of additional right-of-way for Airport Road. This is the other piece of that puzzle. As part of the Airport Road reconstruction project, an offer dated August 24, 2011 was made to National Frozen Foods Corporation, agreeing to pay $9,900 for 2.66 acres of land, $600 for trees, and $14,400 for the fencing, for a total of $24,900. A later change in the project has reduced the amount of right-of-way needed by 0.19 acre, thereby reducing the compensation for land to $9,200. National Frozen Foods' response raised several issues with the county's offer. The property owner requested additional time to replace the fencing, and this agreement provides an additional 6 months for replacement. The county's offer included payment for relocation of a monitoring well, and the property owner requested clarification that the monitoring well relocation includes all associated costs incurred to attain Department of Ecology approval and permits. The property owner installed irrigation line along the road approximately 30 years ago, intending to locate it on their property. However, a recent survey discloses that the line is actually within the existing airport road right-of-way and will have to be moved to accommodate this road project. The property owner requested that the county move the line at its expense. Such costs for moving utilities on county road rights-of-ways are ordinarily the responsibility of the owner of the utility. However, circumstances are out of the ordinary in this instance, since the utility owner is also the adjacent property owner conveying additional road right-of-way. By this agreement, the county agrees to share in costs associated with moving the line and will pay $22,000 towards those costs. Property owner relies on the property being taken for road right-of-way for disposal of their production wastewater from their vegetable processing plant through irrigation. Due to this loss of land and to ensure continued operation of their plant into the future, the property owner has entered into a purchase and sale agreement for the purchase of 41.82 acres of surplus airport property, which is currently under consideration by the county and city owners of the airport. The new proposed offer of $46,200 was presented to National Frozen Foods Corporation on February 2, 2012 to settle negotiations. The agreement has been signed by National Frozen Foods, contingent upon their purchase of the surplus airport land. The agreement is acceptable to the Public Works Department, and approval is recommended.
And this one is, unlike the other which involved the airport property, this is just an agreement between us and National Frozen Food, because it's for a property that's adjacent to Airport Road, which we'll be improving with the Mellon Street interchange project that's coming up.
That's correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of passing the consent agenda, items 1 through 14, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, we have a bid opening scheduled.
You're 3 for 3 today.
Anytime they say Tim Elsey, 1/3 of the crowd leaves.
Say, incidentally, Tim,
I'm sorry? Yes.
Tim, I thought that we had restricted you to 5 items on this agenda.
We revisited that.
Oh, we did?
It has been pointed out that I'm 3 for 3 today.
You're free for how long?
3 for 3 with people leaving as I speak. As you're aware, we went out for called sealed bids on January 23rd for the sale of surplus property and mineral. And we have received 1 sealed bid. We did have a minimum bid of $100,000 for this property.
With a $500 deposit supposed to be with us, right?
We have received 1 bid from Tim Cornier for $65,000, and he has attached a $500 bid bond with his bid.
We will review these and get back to the board.
Now, that's below the minimum bid, right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And we have a couple of hearings, 3 hearings. Are you doing NONET, Tim, too? Are you
Yes,
doing the NONET?
we're doing
Okay.
Oh, they got the next 2, I believe.
So we will be doing the hearings in the usual procedure. We'll have a staff analysis, followed by a question and answer period. And here you go, Tim, they're leaving again. I don't know. Followed by a question and answer period, and then a hearing to address for or against the hearing motion. So we'll start with the staff report.
I'd first like to point out that there are comment sheets up at the podium if anyone would like to sign up, if anyone left would like to sign up for comment. Or if-
Bianca is going to give a long statement on all of these.
This is in the matter of a non-exclusive franchise to NOAANET to construct, operate, and maintain telecommunications facilities on county road rights-of-ways in Lewis County. NOAANET has requested a non-exclusive franchise for the construction, operation, and maintenance of telecommunication facilities on various county road rights-of-way in Lewis County. The proposed non-exclusive franchise will authorize the use of all Lewis County road rights-of-ways for 5 years for this purpose. As you'll remember, Resolution 12-017, passed by the Board of County Commissioners on January 13, 2012, set this date as the date for hearing on the matter. The franchise is being granted pursuant to and in conformance with RCW 36.55 and Lewis County Code 12.25 through 12.50 for a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain telecommunications facilities within county rights-of-ways. RCW 36.55 requires that no hearing be held on a proposed franchise grant until 5 days after the last publication date and 15 days after posting of the notice thereof in 3 public places. Publication must be twice in the official newspaper for publication in the county. Publication occurred on January 25th and February 1st, 2012, and the franchise was posted in 3 public places. The franchisee has reviewed the franchise. And as you'll remember, we had a franchise for NOAANET in the past, but that was simply it was in spot locations throughout the county, and this will allow NOAANET to provide services throughout the county with a non-exclusive franchise over all county rights-of-ways.
So this is for the entire county, all the roads in the county, this is good for.
Yeah, I believe that the one that we did previously was along Route 603, essentially. Also, I'd point out that NOAANET represents the state public utility districts, a project which is statewide and which they're putting out, what is that cable called?
Fiber optic.
Fiber optic cable. And essentially opening ports for people in rural areas to get access to high-speed internet and other things through the cable. So this is a project which is really important and has been used to bring high-speed or the fiber optic cable in the East End and perhaps all the way out to Lincoln Creek area. In the future, so it's a very important project and one that can help Lewis County.
Any other questions? Then I will close the question and answer period and call for your statements to be read into the record, if that's okay, Mr. Chelsea.
Yes, please.
The hearing is open. Any public comment on this hearing? No one has signed up. No public comment. We'll close the hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve Resolution 12072. I'm sorry, it's not 72, it's 74.
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. Will the clerk please read that in the minutes?
Yes. In the matter of a non-exclusive franchise to Northwest Open Access Network to construct, operate, and maintain telecommunications and communication systems and facilities on county rights-of-way, and setting forth conditions accompanying a grant of non-exclusive franchise and providing for administration and regulation of said franchise. This is resolution number 12-074.
Any further comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next hearing with regard to CDBG grant funding.
Tim Elsey, Lewis County Public Works, speaking to the next item on the hearing.
I see you lost another person
I did.
from your own office yet.
Thank God Donna has to stay.
I know she's enjoying this immensely, just as I am.
You
This
have
is a
one
hearing
fan left.
for the Community Development Block Grant. The State Department of Commerce notified special districts about the 2012 Community Development Block Grant funding workshop and application materials in October of 2011. This information has also been available on the Commerce's website. Applications are due to Commerce by March 1st, 2012. To date, Lewis County has only one eligible application. And if I may back up for just a second, we do have a sign-up sheet if anyone would like to speak to this, and I also have handouts in both English and Spanish if anyone would like to read the handouts. The Washington State Community Development Block Grant Program provides funds on a competitive basis for public facilities, community facilities, economic development, affordable housing, public services, and planning projects that principally benefit low and moderate income households. Since 1982, the Washington State CDBG program has distributed and managed over $433 million from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. With this funding, the CDBG program improves the economic, social, and physical environment of eligible rural cities and counties to enhance the quality of life for low and moderate income residents, and as a result, make a difference in the entire community. In 2012, approximately $14 million in federal CDBG funds will be awarded in Washington State. It is proposed that the funds be distributed as follows. General purpose grants, which is what we're applying for here today. An annual grant cycle during which is up for $11 million, and the annual grant cycle during which eligible applicants may request up to $1 million for public facilities, community facilities, housing rehabilitation, or economic development projects principally benefiting low and moderate income persons. Application materials are released in November 2011 with applications due by March 1st, 2012. Planning-only grants. They can disperse $400,000 in planning-only grants. Housing enhancement grants, $500,000. Imminent threat grants, $113,561. Public services grants, $1,557,612. CDBG economic development loans, $12,800,000. The HUD national objectives. CDBG project activities must meet one of 3 HUD national objectives. Principally benefits low and moderate income persons, aids in prevention or elimination of slums or blight, addresses imminent threat to public health or safety. Eligible applicants are Washington State cities and towns with less than 50,000 in population or counties with less than 200,000 in population that are non-entitlement jurisdictions and are not participants in a HUD Urban County Entitlement Consortium. Nonprofit organizations, Indian tribes, public housing authorities, port districts, community action agencies, and economic development councils are not eligible to apply directly to CDBG program for funding, but may be partners in projects and subrecipients of funding through eligible jurisdictions. Applicants may submit 1 request per fund each program year. The exception is for applicants seeking micro-enterprise assistance. They may submit up to 2 general purpose grants, 1 micro-enterprise and 1 sewer or water general purpose grant. Lewis County Public Works wishes to apply for CDBG funding to construct another water reservoir at the Vader Water Treatment Plant site. An additional storage reservoir is identified and supported in the current water system plan for the Vader Enchanted Valley water system. This secondary reservoir will eliminate the existing storage capacity deficiency, improve system pressures, allow options to remove the existing reservoir for service or repairs and cleaning, and provide efficient operation options when raw water is turbid. Lewis County may make only 1 application per year, and Public Works recommends the BOCC support this project for the 2012 application.
Okay, Tim,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I've got a couple of questions in here. Are we able to ask for a certain amount of money, or is it just we're making this application and then we would negotiate the money?
We're able to ask for up to $1 million,
And
we're requesting $750,000.
750,000 is what we're asking for.
That's correct.
Okay. The second area that I have is that this is for the Vader water system, and we've already got some other funds that we've received from the state for the improvement of that project. The pipes that I think are supposed to be starting this summer, and other areas on the entire project. But this is a new issue that we're adding in this particular grant to provide an additional reservoir so that we've got more capability to accommodate problems that we have in the system because we draw out of the river and there's turbidity and things of this nature. Am I correct in that?
That's correct. We have applied for and received $613,000 in CDGB grant funding for the piping in the water system, as well as $722,000 in the Drinking Water Trust Fund, and with half of that being a forgivable loan and half of that needing to be paid back. This is purely grant for adding a reservoir to the system that will help upgrade that system.
Okay.
Okay, I think you answered one of my questions, but I want to ask it again. The CDBG grant, the $613,000 was money we received or applied for last year. Is that the same pot of money, or is that from a different department?
It's the same pot of money.
It's the same pot of money, but we applied for it and we've received that from last year for this year's project.
Yes.
And then this would be probably for a product to be ordered in the future if we get the money.
We would not begin construction on this until the earliest would be 2013.
Okay. And how large of a storage tank? Are we like duplicating the one that's up there?
No, this one will be larger. We're talking in the neighborhood of 500,000 gallons.
500,000 gallons, okay. Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
And of course, a lot will depend on construction costs.
Right, right. Right. So when you submit it for construction, would you be looking at making that a conditional about how big it's going to be, or is that?
Yes, and one of the things that we are trying to take care of with this new reservoir is some of the pressure problems. So we will need to pump into this reservoir where the current reservoir gravity feeds from the plant itself. So that will add additional cost.
Okay, good. Any other questions from the board? Questions from the public? Then I will close the question and answer period and ask if you'd like your comments to be included, Tim.
Yes,
in
I
the
would.
hearing. And I'll open up the hearing on the CDBG grant process. Anything there? No public comment listed, so are there any comments from the board or the public on application for this grant?
The only comment that I would make is that this is a system which we got in receivership, and I'm not even sure we're finished with the actual receivership having been established. We've been working the system and improving the system and making repairs to the system, but it was a system which had become largely neglected, and there is an awful lot that needs to be done. We used to have 3 members of the Vader community sit here and watch us as we went through this process, and I guess they finally decided we're doing pretty good, as they've quit attending. But there are a number of improvements that are being made. I know that there have been some advertisement in the Chronicle on some system improvements down in Vader, and it's not clear whether those are Vader or they're from the county. And when we're talking about the water system, it's Lewis County that's doing the work. It certainly is for the citizens of Vader because it's their water system, but it's currently Lewis County owns this system in receivership or potential receivership or pre-receivership, I guess is the best way to put it. And we are the ones that provide the personnel and the things that are done with this system. And I want to applaud our Public Works Department because this is the first utility that we've in Lewis County have had to actually operate, and Tim came to us with some experience in this area, and he's shown that he's quite capable of running the system, and they're doing a great job out there, and hopefully by the end of the summer we'll get those pipes fixed out there, and the number of breaks and disruptions of the system will end after that. So we're doing real well, and I want to thank you all for it. And this is a great addition if we can get this funding to make that system even better.
Thank you very much. Yes, and as you remember, there have been 11 boil water orders since 2007 in the Vader system, and they were under a permanent boil water threat prior to the county taking it over. So these improvements are direly needed down there.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve resolution number. Oh, you closed it? I'm ready.
Any other comments? Then I'll close the hearing on resolution 12-075.
I move to approve the CDBG grant, resolution number 12-TAC 075.
And I second that.
Clerk, please read that item into the minutes.
Authorizing application for CDBG funding to the State Department of Commerce and assigning the county engineer as the authorized representative. This is resolution number 12-075.
Any further comments? All in favor of resolution 12-075, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And another hearing on the budget amendment resolution.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Actually, I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought that Tim would keep the record and he would depart.
I told him he was free to go, but only because I wanted to make a request that from now on, my hearings are prior to Tim's, so I can leave before.
You're going to have to talk to Carrie about that.
We thought you guys had reached some kind of an agreement. That you wouldn't leave until he was done and vice versa, but you were just staying because your hearing was afterwards, weren't you?
No, I'm also here to support him.
Right.
I'm here to present Resolution 12076. This hearing is for the fourth budget amendment for 2011. Due to the timing of circumstances beyond our control, we are doing another budget amendment to close 2011, and we are hoping that this is the last one. This is, again, Resolution 12076. This does not affect current expense or operating fund. This is only for other funds. Total revenue is $167,600. Expenditures in the amount of $212,600. Fund balance use is $45,000. There was a project in the Paths and Trails Fund 128 for $45,000 that needed to transfer money from the Paths and Trails Fund into Roads Fund 117, and they used fund balance in order to do it. Expenditures in the amount of $45,000 from Paths and Trails, fund balance decreased by $45,000. In the Capital Facilities Fund, a resolution 11439 was passed after the last budget amendment in 2011. The amount was $147,600, increasing the transfer out to Fund 401 and use of fund balance. It approves moving committed capital projects funds from Fund 310 to 401 solid waste to be designated for future capital expenditures. So you have an increase of expenditures in Fund 310 in the amount of $147,600, use of fund balance, and you have an increase in the Solid Waste Fund 401 of the same amount, $147,600, increasing the fund balance. The Chehalis Centralia Airport had an increase in fuel costs that was unexpected. We've increased their budget $20,000 to cover the over expenditure of appropriations for fuel. So there is an increase of $20,000 in expenditures. All funds were noticed at the correct amount of revenue in $167,600, expenditures $212,600, and the decrease of fund balances in $45,000. No change from the noticed amount.
Okay, just a couple of questions and clarifications. I know that we in the past have had up to 6 amendments that we've made on the budget. We used to go every other month or something of that nature.
We had 7.
We had 7 ones.
In 2010.
And, you know, there was an attempt this year to try to do that better and only make 3 changes, and now we're 4.
It is not a matter of doing it better. We cannot fix something we're not aware of until we become aware of it. We hope that there is nothing else. We've contacted the auditor's office. We've discussed these problems with the directors.
Yeah.
And we are told by the state auditor that we should not do a budget amendment after the close of the year. Since we don't have a financial system that it shows you that anything is encumbered and out there to pay, if something comes up that overexpends the appropriations, we have to clean it up as soon as possible.
Yeah. I was actually out there to compliment you because we did used to make a lot more of these in the past, and we're down this year to 4, although we've still haven't closed out that 13th month yet. So
We have a draft.
we have a draft. That's great.
We've also reduced the amount, if I remember right, of these things, so they're not so whoppingly large as they were at one time, for the most part.
Both of those are really beyond my control.
Yeah.
But thank you for the compliment.
The second item that I just wanted to point out is that the transfer of the $147,600 that came out of the Capital Facilities Fund and went into the Solid Waste Fund was a recommendation by the Solid Waste Advisory Committee that since we're taking the funds and holding them for future acquisitions within solid waste utility, that they were uncomfortable with them sitting in a capital budget fund where they might be vulnerable, and wanted it made more clear that those funds were for the enterprise fund of solid waste and put into that. And And that's essentially what we're accomplishing this morning.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Then I will close the question and answer period and open the hearing. Donna, would you like your comments to be incorporated into the minutes?
Yes, I would.
Then so be it. No one signed up for public comment. Are there comments from this board? Comments from the public on budget amendment? Hearing none, I will close the hearing on the budget amendment and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the fourth 2011 Budget Amendment Resolution 12-076.
I second that.
Motion is made and seconded. Will the clerk please read that into the minutes?
Lewis County 2011 Budget, Emergency, and Supplemental Appropriations to Various Funds. This is resolution number 12-076.
Any further comment? Call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, seeing no further business, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? We're adjourned.